Well, good morning. And wow, 27 years. Wow. I started when I was 1 year old. But I've been in this group for 20 of that. Shannon actually was in for the first 7. Continental actually has been in business for over 34 years. That should be an applause right there. In the state of California, to be in business for 34 years is awesome. We're one of the, I would say, premier staffing agencies here in town. I think that we've proven that through the tenure, of course, being in business, of course, in Bakersfield and abroad, because we're not just a local agency. We actually will go anywhere our clients will want us to go with them, or we will go from one part of the state to the other part, whether north, south, east, or west. At one time, Continental had 9 offices. But through, of course, technology and diversification as far as industries and things like that, now we're down to 2 offices. It doesn't mean that we're not doing well. It just means through technology, we just hire and recruit totally different through the streams of technology. So this morning, not to say a whole lot more about me, thank you for the bio. Just kind of want to go through, how many of you have ever experienced working with a staffing agency? Yeah. And you've probably had, some good success, and maybe you've had not so good success, because people are people, right? Even though we've been in this industry for 34 years, we don't have a magic wand, right? But I think we have an upper hand because of our experience to hopefully make the right match the first time, as far as whatever that job description, or as far as their experiences that you may be looking for your business. So with that, let's get into this morning. I want to just kind of talk about the common myths or misconceptions about staffing agencies, because even though you may have worked with a staffing agency, you may not understand all of the bells and whistles and the things that goes in as far as how a staffing agency operates, as far as how we recruit, how we go to the market for talent, those types of things. So we're gonna bust some of those myths this morning. Just to kind of hopefully educate you a little bit of some of the things that are out there, and give you a little better understanding about staffing agencies. So one of the myths about staffing agencies, they only provide low-skilled workers. A lot of times people call and say, well, we're going to get the bottom of the barrel. It's heavy industrial. They're only roughneck that we want to hire, or those types of things, people that want to use a staffing agency. That's not true. The truth is Continental recruits for a wide range of positions, including administrative, technical, professional, healthcare, manufacturing, heavy industrial, as well as leadership roles. We are an all-inclusive staffing agency. We don't just sit in one space. At one time, Continental had that, perception that we were only the oil field as far as the staffing agency. We only did heavy industrial staffing. But over the course through time, we've changed our branding to make sure that everyone understands that we recruit as far in spaces, as I said, including administrative, technical, professional, healthcare, manufacturing, and leadership roles. So we can staff across any industry that an employer or whatever type of industry they're in looking for candidates, right? So that's how we kind of dispel that myth. Staffing agency sends anyone with a pulse. Not true. We don't. There are staffing agencies, I won't knock any of them, that if they're in a high manufacturing production, like let's say like Amazon, there's 2,500. I'll use Boathouse for an example. Boathouse is one company that's a partner with Continental, and they came to us at one time and said, hey, we want you to be our primary recruiter for Boathouse. And we were like, yes, well, how many people are we gonna, did you want us to staff for you? And they said something like 500. And then we said, no, we don't want 500, right? Because we also know what comes with hiring 500 temps. There's a lot of liability. There's a lot of risk with that. So, we don't always just take everything that's thrown at us for all of the other risks that may be involved with that. And then the turnover rate is so high in those industries. The turnover rate in those industries is about 75%. In a high manufacturing, like a Boathouse, some of the distribution centers, it's about 75% turnover. So, when you look at that, all my staff, what we'll be doing is just constantly, then it comes to where we're just slinging bodies, right? And we don't want to do that, because then that goes against kind of our vetting process, making sure that we are making the right matches for our clients. So we try to make sure that, whoop, there goes the mic. It just went out. Check. Yep. So we try to make sure that professional agency make sure that we screen, we interview, verify qualifications, often conduct background checks before presenting candidates. At Continental, one of the things that we're known for is that every employee that comes through is vetted, right? Every employee goes to an orientation. They're going to get drug tested. Yes, we still drug test. They're going to get background checked. They also got to have a clean driver's license. They also have to have harassment training. They go through safety training or whatever industry that they're going to be going into. We make sure that there's an awareness of that culture. And Continental also is probably one of the only staffing agencies that has a safety team. So there's an audit done before. We call it the preliminary risk analysis done of your business to make sure that our employees are going into a safe work environment. Whatever it is, it can be administrative, it can be heavy industrial. You would get a call from our safety team that's going to come and go to your facility to make sure that they're going into a safe work environment. So that's how we actually, we stand on that, and that's how we recruit and make sure that when our employees come to you, based upon whatever position that you're hiring at your facility, that they're vetted, they're screened. And also we try to understand with your business as what type of employee you're looking for. If it comes to the place you want to hire them on, we want to make sure there's a match, and not when you go to hire them on, you find out, oh, this person was a bank robber, let's say, and you go, oh my gosh, they're going to be handling money. I don't want that person. Right? So that's why through that process, we understand the needs of your business. And then that's where we begin to put together as far as how we're going to make sure we screen that employee to make sure that when they arrive to your facility that they've been vetted and screened and all those boxes are checked. So that's the way that Continental does it. Another myth is staffing agencies are only for temporary jobs. That's wrong. That's false. Truth is, while many agencies do offer temporary roles, they also fill full-time, temp to hire, direct hire, and even executive level positions across various industries. And once again, we're all inclusive. You can do short-term, you can do long-term, or you could do permanent or direct hire with us. You set the bar as far as how you want to do that. You might just need a person for a short-term project. Maybe it's in your warehouse and it's tax time and you got to get all your files put away or whatever it may be. You might just need that person for 4 hours. As long as you work them for at least 4 hours, then you should call us for that. You shouldn't take the risk of hiring an employee just for 4 hours and all the work that goes into that. Or you could keep them for 8 hours or all the way up to 720 hours, because usually that's the mark that where now you can hire that employee on. Okay, so but once again, if it's a direct hire position, that's more of a heavy recruiting as far as headhunting that we can do as well. And it's just a different process in that as far as what level of employee that you may be looking for. But we can do it all. Another myth is this is the good one. Staffing agencies are too expensive for employers. False. It's very false. The truth is the cost of using the agency often saves money in the long run by reducing hiring time. How many's ever had to hire an employee? Right? Okay, just remember that, right? And what it takes, what you have to do, your time as an owner, where it should probably be focused somewhere else and growing your business, right? And hopefully, maybe because you don't have as much experience, because all the other things that you're doing trying to run your business, that you might just be trying to fill a space and then you make the bad hire, right? So there goes a lot of money out the window as well. So decreasing turnover, avoiding bad hires. You also have an advertising, recruiting, and pre-screening costs when you are trying to recruit for your business. So if you take all of that and put it together, why would you not use a staffing agency to do that for you, right? So you might be saying, well, how does that really save me money? Well, the next time you go to hire someone, how many of you know as owners know your labor burden for an employee? Very good, very good. I know you know it, right? Very good. And most owners don't. Leo and I used to work for BBSI, and we would go talk to a lot of clients, and we say, first thing we need to figure out, what are your labor burdens? What does it cost for you to hire an employee? And most of them be like, well, when I bid at that job, it was this much. When I bid at that job, it was this much or that much. They really don't know what it is, right? And then, we would look at them and go, well, it's this percentage or that percentage based upon, how long did it take you to find that employee, what pay, Was it a good hire, a bad hire? So we'll get into that as well, what it can cost you when it's a bad hire. But again, it's not that expensive. And so to make it simple, I'm gonna give you a little secret this morning, EAKC. So we're gonna pretend this is a client, which is EAKC. They call me, Kathy calls me and says, I wanna hire somebody just for a little clerical or to sit at the desk out here and sell raffle tickets. I'm gonna pay them $17 an hour because minimum wage now is $16.90. So we're just gonna give them 10% more above minimum wage for a little admin position. We're gonna use a work comp code, let's say, because they may have to run and get coffee. So we're gonna keep them in at 8742, right? And then a lot of times when people think about things too expensive, they go 44%. It costs 44%, and they don't realize what all goes into the 44%. So a lot of times that percentage, as business owners or any business, we all are in the same tiers. We're all going to pay a wage. We're all going to pay a tax, right? And we're all going to probably pay workers' comp, right? Or some form of insurance to have a business. So I'm in the same category. So all my costs is also in that 44%, just as well as yours. But also what's in there that a lot of people don't understand is depends on what industry you are in that determines how that percentage is going to work, because we got to also pay this thing, workers' comp. And if you're in clerical, yes, it's a low one. But if you're in like Leo's business, then it's a higher work comp code. There's a higher premium for that. So that can make the percentage move up and down. But overall, if I add in all my taxes, workers' comp, we throw in the wage, part of that 43%, your bill rate would be $23.76. That's what you would pay an hour for that temp employee. It's $23.76, which covers all of the tiers, the wage, the tax, the workers' comp. But it also covers all the recruiting I'm going to do, the staff I have to pay, all of the drug testing, all of the PPE that we give each and employee that goes to your work site, right? I have to pay for all that as well. So you don't see all of that. But at the end of the day, guess how much Continental is making after I do all of that? I made $1.96 an hour off of that temp, right? So it's not that much more expensive if you're an employee. Say, man, maybe. So then if you want to look at as far as you take your labor costs and then take all your time and all the resources, and then let's talk about and let's see who has a better rate. Okay? Has anybody done advertising, recruited for an employee? It's not cheap. It's not cheap. So I just wanted to give you a breakdown how it works, right? How it all works. You may say, man, how does Continental survive off $1.96 an hour with staff and with all the things that we do? It's volume, right? It's off volume. So we push volume. And sometimes because of the classification or the type of number of employees that may be going to a facility, that we're able to flex rates a little more because volume, we hopefully would give a better rate and make money over long term. So that's kind of how when you come to us and say, what's it really cost? Just remember there's 3 tiers. We're all in those tiers. Now, I will give you a little secret. Sometimes people say, well, I'm paying the workers' comp anyway. Well, we all are paying workers' comp, but if you have a long-term temp employee, or you're going to go the whole contract of 720 hours, your work comp is based upon hours as well. So most of us get audited by work comp, and so those hours are not put in on your work comp. So you technically are not paying that work comp. I'm paying the work comp. All of the liability and risk, because they're my employee, we're paying all of that. We're taking care of it. If they get hurt, it's on my dime. It's not yours. It doesn't affect your mod rate. It stays with me. So that's also another benefit why you might look into hiring a temp on small projects, because if an employee gets hurt on your job, right, after a week and you say you hired them, it's going to probably rock you pretty good like the following year, right, Andy, on that premiums, right? It can add up really quick. That's a whole nother type of education on that part. But I just want to let you know that we are buying the risk and taking the risk from you when you choose Continental. So another thing is you lose control when you use a staffing agencies. No, we are dual employers. We partner together, right? We want to both be successful. We want to find the right match. So Continental works as an extension of your team. We're like a back office for you on the recruiting and hiring side. You still controlled who is hired. All we are trying to do is make the proper match, but when they show up at your site, you're the supervisor, right? You of course give the daily, far as their duties, their job description or a task that they're supposed to, that they're going to fulfill. Your company culture and all key decisions, the agency helps you manage those, the process efficiently. If you come to me and say, Harold, I want to hire a certain position, I'm going to say, first thing I'm going to ask you for is a job description. I want to know a job description. And through all of the preliminary risk analysis and our time talking, I'm probably going to get an idea about your culture. That's how we want to make the match when we're interviewing and with our staffing coordinators to understand we don't just want to throw a body in there. We want to first look at, of course, their attitude, right? How many realize we don't hire for just pay, we hire for attitude. We don't just hire for experience, we hire for the right attitude, right? Because they can be smart, genius, but if they got a bad attitude, your culture is going to crap. It's going to be over, right? So we want to also kind of understand your culture, that as we're interviewing, and that's kind of the indicators we look for to make sure this is a match for your culture, right? And so that's also a part of the vetting. But we work together as far as, again, as kind of as a dual employment with these employees in making those right matches. Another myth is staffing agencies don't care about culture fit. I just explained that. We do. We work hard to understand the company's culture and values to find candidates who will be successful long term. We don't want turnover either, right? And we want to make that match the first time. So this is how we partner together and work together. And we're probably one of the ones that when we say we don't just sling bodies, when we partner, I'm going to send you resumes of probably of the top 3 or 4 candidates we find for you, and then work together making that decision together. I'm not just going to say, hey, unless it's just, if you got somebody raking leaves or general labor, yeah, I'm not going to do all that. I'm doing, hey, I got a person we believe that's worked for us before. They're a great employee, and they're going to come work for you for 8 hours, 16 hours, right? We may not go through all of the, going over resumes together for that type, but I'm talking about for like, if you're looking for an admin or you're looking for a specialty in your company that that you're trying to feel that they're going to be have the opportunity to work for your company, then we're going to work together with those resumes, right? We're going to look at them together. We're going to say, hey, and then we're going to give you the opportunity for you to interview them. For an example, Leo here, I keep using him because he's one of our clients. And so in the construction area, he looks for very skilled people in that craft. So he'll call and say, hey, I need this. Here's it is. They go interview. And then what he does a working interview. And they go out he says, hey, we want to see if you can, do drywall. So he puts them to work and see if the person can really do the work. Right? And this might be like Zach's for you, right? Jim, you just don't, hey, I just believe you can do the job because your resume says it. No, you put them to work for a little. That's why you use a staffing agency to make sure that they can do the job that they say they can do is what's on their resume, and then their skill matches it. So that's also a great way that you find good candidates. Also, you can see how they work with other people, their attitude. You can see if they're a team player, all those types of things. Before you make that decision to hire them on. Because once you hire them on, they're yours. And then if you have to let them go, you're going to have some trouble, right? And I think some of us may have experienced that. And so I think that might have been my last slide. There was one thing in here I wanted to show. Oh, right here. Go back to this real quick, and this is my last slide. I wanted to go back to this because companies use staffing agencies can't keep employees. You see that 30% to 200%? That number right there is if you don't use a staffing agency, here's the plug, and you decide to do this on your own and you make a bad hire. It's going to cost you between 30% to 200%, right, of your money, right? And that could be, depending on the salary, it could be anywhere $10,000, $20,000 that just went out the window because you made a bad hire. They didn't work out. They didn't fit, right? Or they got hurt on your job. Or they just figured, I'm going to sue you anyway because they're going to try to get you wrongful termination or something, right? So all these things can come into play. So why would you take that risk? Why would you take that risk? I would put that risk somewhere else. I would put it on Continental, right? Because it won't cost me that because I have the ability as I'm bringing employees in to end their assignment just as well as you do. Because if it's not working, you can say, hey, Harold, it's not working. We tried it. I need to fire them. We just say, no, we need to end their assignment. and we need to put them back in the pool and hopefully find a match somewhere else. And then if you like, we try it again, but it will not cost you, because when you bring that employee on, a lot of times there's a lot of things that you've already started, maybe their benefits, or they came with, with their demands of, I want insurance right away, I want this wage right away, and there's no try, and they just come in, and you give them the whole farm. Give them the whole farm. 30 days later, you're like, ooh, now you can't get rid of them, right? Now you're like, man, how do I get rid of this person? And then, so next time that you go to hire somebody, and I know we've all probably had to have gone through that as employers, that it costs a lot of money if it doesn't go right. Am I telling the truth? Yeah, it costs a lot. I know it does. I felt the pain. I know a lot of different clients that they felt that pain, and that's why they trust Continental to do all their hiring. And so, of course, as we work together, we get to know each other. I think, we're pretty successful as far as making those matches. So again, many companies use staffing services, scale quickly. They manage projects, or find the right fit before hiring. And that's the key. Find the right fit before you hire them. And that's why we call it temporary. You want to make sure that they show up every day. You want to make sure, again, they have the right attitude. All those things are coming together to fit your culture, to where you say, okay, Harold, I believe we found the right candidate. Now, after a certain number of hours, you can then hire them on. Questions?
I think Mr. Best
Yeah.
is going to open it up to questions.
Hired down through Continental 2001. She's still with me, number one person. My question is, I'm trying to remember, didn't we have to pay you like a lump sum when she worked so many hours to keep her?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's depending on the type of course, there's different, as far as hours, we call it, and it depends on volume. So usually, typically for just a one-person time, it's 720 hours is a contract. So they have to work with us for 720 hours before you're able to hire them on, right? So it's based upon hours. Now, there's also, if you get into 400 hours, you say, this is a rock star, I need to get them aboard now. Because I don't want to lose them, and I of course, want to get them on our all the other, benefits of the company. Then we discuss a buyout.
That's what I did.
Yeah, we discuss a buyout as far as, so you can always buy out the employee. But here's the benefit of that: if you're a recurring client, then we work out that buyout to where I may just wash it, because you're probably going to send me give me another opportunity to staff your business. So we might discuss that and go, hey, you know what? That buyout was going to be $900. I'll do it for $250, right? Because we want to be successful.
About 10,000. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no. Any question? And yeah.
Pension benefits, how does that work? Are they on the employer's insurance, 401k, all that? Are they on yours?
In the beginning? Yeah, they're on mine in the beginning, right? And we, the same way now with staffing agencies, because the state of California, after so many hours as a staffing agency, even now, say you go, you know what? I'm not hiring them on. They're going to stay with Continental for a year. Well, after a certain number of hours, now I have to offer them benefits, just as you would. So just also know that we also have to offer benefits as well after a certain number of hours.
Just a testimonial, we work with you guys, and like Harold was mentioning, we utilize them as a tool. We bring on employees, we run them through Continental before we hire them, because you hire someone right after the interview, and 2 months later they're not worth what they thought they were. You can't get rid of them. But with Harold, we just say we don't need them anymore, and then it ends it, and then we get another person in. And
You don't even have to talk to them. You just call us. We do the work for you.
it's a great tool, but they do a great job. They even do prevailing wage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do all that. Prevailing wage, certified, all those things.
So we work with Harold on the lawyer side, help them when, unfortunately, there's lawsuits. 60% of lawsuits filed in Central California and the Central Coast are employee-related lawsuits. These attorneys out of LA, Long Beach, Santa Barbara, and San Diego are always looking for loopholes to file thousands and thousands of lawsuits a week. When I was hired at the firm, we had one HR attorney. We have 11 HR attorneys today, 2 HR consultants. full-time at the firm in our 5 offices. It's unreal.
Makes
It's
sense.
unreal, because it's an employee state. Sad, it's not if, it's when. It's gonna happen. You have employees.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
I will say after 34 years, we've only had one class action, right? That was, of course, we were found innocent, but we still had to pay the bill. So, and it wasn't a light bill, it was a heavy bill. But again, you know, we dot our I's and cross our T's, we do it right. But like Kevin said, sometimes you got to go to court, and you're still going to pay the bill, right? And most of those are attorney fees, but we won that case, but it was hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Just for over some drive time. So,
After the 720 hours, can they still stay on your?
yes, sir. Yeah, you make that decision, right? You make the decision to buy them out early, or they can run over. Yeah, you don't have to. Can I make them permanent? They can just stay until you say, hey, it's it. So we don't usually say we stay on permanent. They're just with us, right? And they're just called long-term. They're long-term, yeah. But they'll eventually get offered benefits, all those things as well. So yeah, employers do it, you know. And that's usually like an owner. You say you have an owner, but they don't have employees. So they go, you know, I'm not adding all that workers' comp stuff and all that liability and all that stuff. I'm just going to run them through a staffing agency, right? And because they're going to pay for it, they're going to pay for it on our side. And so, you know, you don't have to have workers' comp to come aboard with us, but you do need to have usually liability, right? I will let you know that. But because they're our employees, so we're covering all of those things as I showed you earlier, all the taxes, worker comp, W-2s, W-4s, all that stuff, taxes, all that stuff. So you don't have to worry about that at the end of the year. We're going to give them the W-2s and all those things. So you don't have to worry about that part of the administrative on your side.
Okay,
Alrighty.
thank you very much.
Thank you.